everyone, it's me, Bob the Drag Queen, and I just did an interview on the Zach Sang Show. We talked about music, we talked about We're Here, and we talked about New York City. You gonna listen? You gonna watch?
Beautiful human in the studio hanging out with us right now is Bob the Drag Queen.
Woo. Oh wow! What I love the applause. Thank you very much.
It's both weak and hearty at the same time.
Yeah, because it's two people, but you know, and too much would be wild. Too much would feel patronizing.
You don't want me to stand. You don't want me to give you a real round of applause.
Yeah,
like claps.
But you know, a respectful round of applause from two people is acceptable.
So honestly, you are a superstar. You won a season of one of my favorite shows of all time.
Thank you.
Well, you hear that every day, right? Like people come up to you nonstop, yes?
Well, maybe not every day anymore, because you know I won Drag Race 6 years ago.
Yeah, but you're still out there.
But I am still out here. So a lot of people, you know, every once in a while someone goes, congratulations, and I'd be like, it's a little it's like congratulating Kelly Clarkson on winning American Idol. It's like, thanks. Thank you.
But genuinely, a show that gives people the opportunity to get a glimpse of you, not just as your drag persona, but as your actual being, even though you're drag. And I want to break this down a little bit because I am very interested in the art of drag.
Mm-hmm.
I watch Drag Queen. I've gone to a bunch of different drag bars all across the country. I love me some Kansas City. Like I really
Kansas City has great drag.
Yes.
Mo Hart.
Yeah, Mo Hart, and then who was just a couple seasons ago?
Her name is the Widow Von Du.
Widow Von Du. I saw her.
I'm like a drag race encyclopedia and drag queen encyclopedia in general.
You've seen every episode.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I also know a lot about like a lot of local queens and stuff. I just love drag.
So what is the scene like today? How would you describe it?
Well, the truth is, I'm not really a part of the local drag scene anymore. You know, I went back to New York City and I went to a gay bar and I was like, I don't know any of these. I don't know any of these. And there was a period of time in New York City where anyone who put on a wig, I knew who she was. Any bitch with a wig on her head, I knew her. You know what I mean? But now I go to New York and I'm like, I don't even know any of these people. And then I walk in the bar and they're like, oh my God, Bob, they tell like I'm
a legend?
Ancient history. Yeah. They're like, I used to.
I grew up watching you.
Yeah, stuff like that. People who were watching me on Drag Race when they were in, I don't even know what grade or how old they were.
So is there like a farming system to make, like, there's ranks to drag queens and performances and even cities that are like the hardest to compete in, correct? Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, for sure. New York City is probably the toughest city in the world to be a drag queen in. It's really, there's a lot of competition. You know, every kid from Amda and Tish and you know Ada is throwing on a pair of heels to come down to the bar and you know twirl a 1-2 and tell some jokes. So there's a lot of competition. You know, New York City is a place where most of the drag queens were performers before they were drag queens. So they didn't like cut their teeth in performing with drag. They learned it. They learned, you know, the art of drag after learning how to perform.
So as it relates to, I mean, do you remember the day you first put on a wig?
Yeah, I remember. I remember very well, actually. I remember the first time I got dressed in drag, the first time I ever went out in drag, first time I did a performance, first time I did a number. They were all different occasions.
Where were you when you first put on a wig?
When I first put on a wig to do drag, I was in my apartment in Long Island City, Queens, and I had gone to Ben Nye, which is a stage makeup company, went to their website and bought a makeup kit. And I got dressed in drag and I took pictures with my roommate on a really crummy camera. The pictures are so blurry. And I was wearing a tan dress from the Goodwill, and this gold, black, and silver belt. It's like mixed metals, but it was all like leather belt. And I just stood in the house and took pictures, and then I just took it all off and went to sleep.
What does it feel like when you take drag off today?
Oh, well, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm wearing a corset, you know, it's pain. It hurts. It feels like a relief.
Yeah.
I usually have to pee, like because I've been holding it the whole time. It feels like I've had a very successful work day, and I'm at the end of my work day, and I'm like, ooh, I did a whole day's work.
What was it like when you took it off for the first time?
The first time, I just remember being like, well, that was fun. Let's see where this goes. I don't. It wasn't. If it was a movie, it wouldn't be like one of those moments where it was like, whoosh, and like the lights. Like I looked bad. Like I felt fierce, but I didn't look good. I knew I didn't look good, but I was just having fun, and I was just, I was just really young and having fun. I was 22.
So you didn't look good, but that is something you learn, right? That's a skill that you have to acquire. You said the makeup didn't look good. I'm sorry.
No, it didn't look good. None of it looked good. The outfit was bad. The wig was bad. The makeup was bad. Everything was bad. There were nice shoes. I had a nice pair of shoes on.
That's
a pair of like thigh high, stiletto, like maybe like 4-inch heels. They're supposed to be thigh high, but I'm either knee high because I'm very tall. So all my thigh highs end up coming to my knees.
Sister, that's called a foundation.
There it is. Yeah.
You built something great upon that.
So I mean, over the years I figured it out, and I learned how to entertain through drag specifically, and I learned how to do my makeup and get my body to a way that I like it, get my makeup to a way that I like it. I also get help from people. I hired costume designers, wig stylists, makeup artists. Yeah. But
at first, you had to figure it out. Yeah. Did you teach yourself?
Yeah, I taught myself. Yeah, I mean, I taught myself well enough to win RuPaul's Drag Race.
but at what point between you getting into drag for the first time in Long Island City, and like after that, like when do you realize that this could be something of legitimacy that could provide you not just like as an escape, but also financial freedom or stability?
Well, I went out to go see people, drag queens performing, and a lot of them had other jobs. A lot of the drag queens, even in New York City, had other jobs, especially back then, back in like 2009, 2008. And I was just so impressed with what they were doing, but I just wanted to have fun. It really was just fun for me. Like I love performing, and every once in a while I would compete every week, twice a week, to try to win $150. And I think I competed for 2 years. I think I won one time. I think. Maybe one time. I would get tips and stuff, but I was hemorrhaging money. Like it was never enough money. But then I got a gig at this bar called Excess Lounge. It doesn't even exist anymore. You spend 22 between 7 and 8. That sounds like such a New Yorker.
Both of us.
It was on 22 between 7 and 8 called Excess Lounge. I think it's a hotel now. Huh. I don't know what it is now, or apartments or something. And every Monday night I was there with my friend Frosty Flakes, who's my best friend at the time. And we're doing this gig. We got paid $50 a night and tips. We did the gig for I think 2 years. By the end I was getting paid I think $100 a night plus tips, which was huge for me. I was still waiting tables and doing children's theater and real estate. So I had a lot of careers in the midst of my journey to drag being full-time. And then it became full-time. I started working at a restaurant called Lucky Chang's. So you're a drag queen, but you're also a waiter and a bartender and a show hostess. And I would do all those gigs while in drag. So, and that was one time I quit. I worked at a real estate office, and my office closed with no warning. I just came to work one day.
What?
And there was a note on the door at my real estate office. And it just said, this office is closed. And they owed me like some money. And I was like, man, I'm not going to get that money. So then I was like, well, I'm out of a job. So I guess I better try to make this work.
And you did?
Yeah.
So you were kind of forced out of it, essentially.
Kind of. I mean, I was making money in drag and making money in real estate at the same time. But once I lost my real estate job, I just decided to just lean all the way in.
Thankful for it.
Yeah, and just see what could come of it. Because it was really hard to get a show in New York City back then. I'm sure it's even harder now. I bet it's way harder now.
Oh.
But it felt impossible to get a show back then because there were so many great performers: Keisha Carr, Peppermint, Pixie Aventura, Mimi I'm First, Thorgy, Holly Day, Monet Exchange, Shaquita, Jackie Dupree, Marty Gold Cummings, like all these queens you had to compete with, Logan Hardcore, who all had these like really big personalities. We all have big personalities, but they had gigs. You know what I mean?
Do you
Tina Burner. I'm like, I can go on for days.
But were you afraid of that competition, or did you wanted to rise to it?
No, they were my friends.
So you didn't see them as competition?
not some competition, but it was friendly competition. It was never like, it's not like the cutthroat stuff you see in movies.
Totally.
Because we weren't pageant queens. You know what I mean? We were bar queens. Like we would give each other gigs. Like, come do my show, I'll do your show.
Oh, respect.
Yeah, come see me, I'll come see you. I'll tell my friends to go see you. We would sew together. So we really it was a real community.
When did you realize you were really good at this?
I would say I did a pageant. I won a pageant a long time ago. And it was my second time doing the pageant. My first year, I didn't do that well. The second year, I said, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do this again. And I just remember the crowd going crazy. And they kept telling me, like, wow, you're really good. You're amazing. There was this other queen named Dusty Pouchet, who I'll never forget. She's still a friend of mine. She was out in Kansas City. And she was like, everyone was like, she's the one to beat. When one of my closest friends said, aren't you nervous going up against someone like Dusty Pouchet? And I said, I remember, like, not really. And then she was like the one to beat, and I beat her. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way I beat her. But I did.
Why do you think you beat her?
I guess people just connected to the number I did that night. Maybe my Q&A. I did this number where I did I Am Changing from Dreamgirls. And I came out on a hand truck like Hannibal Lecter with the mask and a straitjacket. And then I like busted out of the straitjacket, and then I pulled the trick from the Broadway where you zoom in, the spotlight is just on your face. And then when it zooms out, you're in a whole new outfit. And the crowd just kind of went crazy. Wow. And I had this my name used to be Kitten with a Whip. I used to carry a whip everywhere I went. At the end of the number, I did this big, like, this big whip crack that, like, rang through the auditorium, and everyone just jumped to their feet and went crazy. It was a really addictive feeling.
Why'd you move away from Kitten with a Whip?
Well, everyone kept calling me Katie or Kitty or Kate or Cat, and I was like, that's not my name. I was like, that's not my name. My name was Kitten. And then one day, I was in a bar, and this guy called me Kim. And I thought it was so funny. I was like, yeah, because Kim's a drag name. Hey, I'm Kim the drag queen. And then every time I come back up, I would change my name to something even more plain. I'm Kate the drag queen. And then by the end of the night, I was like, and please give it up for your host. I'm Bob the drag queen. And I was like, it's actually kind of funny. And I told my friends I was going to change my name. And they were like, please don't. It's so bad. And I was like, you can't stop me.
It's iconic.
Well, thank you. It's so bad it's good.
Yes, that's... Well done.
Yeah, well, thank you.
R.I.P. to
Kitten with a Whip. It's an old Anne Margaret movie. See, you can't even remember it. No one could remember it. It's an old Anne Margaret movie.
But there's a difference in the personalities between the two drag queens?
I don't really have persona.
Okay.
For me, drag is really just Bob the Drag Queen is a nickname for me, a name that a lot of my friends call me in my day-to-day life. And my costumes are just my work clothes, but I don't have a persona. I don't have like a different backstory, or I don't behave differently. I'm just myself, but just dressed up.
Exaggerated version of yourself?
Maybe if I'm on stage telling jokes, but before I did drag. If I'm on stage, I would do an exaggerated version of myself because it's for entertainment purposes, but not backstage, not in interviews, not in interpersonal relationships. I'm really just me. So like, I don't have one of those personalities where if you see me in an interview, I'm like, yes, Miss Mama, let me teach you how to pop a fan, honey. I'm gonna teach you how to brr and skr. Like, I don't really talk like that. I don't go, yes, Miss Thing, Miss Honey, Miss Box Boots down the house, Miss Wit. I use some of that vernacular in my day-to-day language, but not in like a...
It just made me sweat.
But not in like a, regurgitating the drag lexicon.
Do people expect that of you, though?
Maybe, but I don't give it to them, so they have to quickly shift their expectations.
Or come and see a show.
If you want to come see a show, but I don't do that. I don't do that in my shows either. My shows aren't me going, yes, Miss Honey, y'all ready to laugh for your nerd? Like, that's just even if you pay, you're not going to get that from me.
How many versions of a stage show do you have ready to go that you could just tap into?
Well, I've done a few shows over the years. I did a show called Crazy Black Lady a couple of years ago. I have my stand-up. I have two stand-up specials, Suspiciously Large Woman and Bob the Drag Queen Live at Caroline's. And of course I have my old standards when I used to work at Barracuda Lounge, or as we call it, Barracuda Bar, Lounge, Grill, and Spa, where where I would it was mostly stand up, current events, and a lot of drag numbers.
So okay, when do you? I want to like kind of keep like a little flow here in terms of timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know when you want to like post winning Drag Race.
2016.
Do you dive right into music? Do you know you want to do music? Do you really want to do comedy? And you know that it can lead into other areas, music included.
So I've always liked making music. I used to rap. I used to do rap battles in my high school in the courtyard. We would have these big rap battles, and I would always participate in the rap battles. I love rapping, and I had a song called "Big Bitch" that I wrote years ago when I was still in my drag infancy. I wrote it was to the. Do you know the song "She Got a Donk" by Soulja Boy?
She got a dunk.
Yeah, she got a dunk. Yeah, it's also the same beat that Nicki Minaj uses in Itty Bitty Piggy. It's the same beat. She used it on her mix track. Anyway, I wrote Big Bitch, this song. I never really, it was like, because I'm a big bitch, big hair, big style, big heels, big talk backed up with big skills, big BITCH. I keep it real, bitches, please don't hate. And I had this whole song that I would do at the clubs. And I would write, and I just loved writing. So when I came home from Drag Race, I told my friend Mitch Farino that I wanted to do a song called Purse First. I said I had this purse that I was obsessed with, and I wanted to write a song about it. So he helped me write the song. He did the music, and I did all the lyrics for the song. And I remember kind of being like, I kind of wanted to maybe sound like this, and then he did the track, and I've done a few songs since then. Yet Another Dig, Bloodbath, Bitch Like Me, which is my most recent single.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I'm very, very proud of. I really, one day I need to do like a breakdown of my lyrics on YouTube or something, because I don't think people even appreciate some of the greatness that went into.
So is the guy that you worked on Purse First with still involved in your music at all?
Sometimes he helps me with stuff sometimes. So I have a song coming out November 3rd called Black, and he helped me create that when he started it off. But then someone named Ocean Kelly helped me finish it up. Ocean Kelly also helped me do Bitch Like Me. He produced Bitch Like Me. Yeah.
So okay, you start with writing a rap, you then exit Drag Race, you go for Purse First. What about Purse First and that record makes it clear that you got to keep digging into this music ditch?
I also wrote a song right before, like after filming, but before it aired. Maybe it was, I can't remember, but it was called, it was a Christmas song.
Oh,
called Deck-a-Ho. And I was like, deck a hoe if she gets mouthy, fa la 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 la. When the po-po comes, bitch, I'm outie, fa la la. Like,
I think that's a timeless one.
and sometimes my sense of humor and my music really have a crossover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not quite Lil Dicky. It's not quite Weird Al.
I was just gonna say it's not. It's Bob the Drag Queen.
It's Bob the Drag Queen, yeah. But there is often a sense of humor in my music.
So, and I've listened to the records. We're gonna play "Bitch Like Me," but when you're sitting down to put together a record, are you writing from what perspective? I mean, where is that story coming from? Is it coming from Bob?
Bitch Like Me started because I was like online. I like to argue online.
Okay, that's healthy.
My toxic trait is that I like arguing.
Do you argue as yourself, or do you have a
No, it's
burner?
it's on the main account.
Okay.
I fight on the main with anyone who will have a fight. I'll fight you. I like fighting. It's my toxic trait. I know it's toxic, and I'm acknowledging that. But I was on, and I think I was arguing with someone, and someone was like, I know people like you, and blah blah blah. And I remember saying something like, you ain't never met a bitch like me. And then I was like, oh, that's gonna be a song. You ain't never met a bitch like me. You ain't never met a bitch. So then I was like, let's turn it into a song.
And you did.
And I did.
Inspired by an internet battle.
Yeah, probably.
How many songs do you just have like sitting on a hard drive somewhere? Like, do you write a bunch and then choose when to put them out?
Well, my friends laugh at me because I do this thing where I get really mad if I'm like irritated, and I start writing diss tracks to like people I don't like.
Wait, I love this. Are we really like this? You should release this.
So I lost my car at the mall I was at the Crate and Barrel, and I lost my car.
It
wasn't because the parking lot is so big. I didn't take a picture. I just forgot where my car was.
Totally.
So I'm like, I have all this stuff on this like shopping cart from Crate and Barrel, and I cannot find it. I'm looking for over an hour, And I'm also like just walking through the parking lot, like yelling like a diss track into my phone.
But to who?
Someone probably thought I was crazy.
A diss track to the parking structure?
No, it was. I'm not gonna say who it was to, but it was. It was to someone I was very publicly beefing with at the time.
Oh.
I don't want to drum up old. We're not fighting now, but
Okay.
this person and I were very publicly beefing at the time, and I just wrote this like diss track to them in my phone.
Did it help you vent?
Oh yeah, it's great. It felt really good.
You worked out your issue through it, maybe?
Not with them, but with myself.
That's the most important.
Yeah.
Right? It starts with us and then it's everyone
Exactly.
else.
And maybe one day I'll be able to extend an olive branch to my former nemesis. No, she's not a nemesis. I'm just kidding.
When did you know you wanted to do comedy? And was that scary? Because that is a new level of vulnerability.
So my friend Dernika and Dermika Dotson, they're these twins that I used to go to school with in the theater department at Mara High School in Clayton County. And one day, Dermika or Danica, I can't tell which one because they were twins. One of them, I don't know who was who. One of them said to me, "You are the funniest person I've ever met." And I was like, wait a minute, me? And that felt so good. I was like, oh my God, I love that. And then someone else told me on a trip, someone else was like, you're the funniest person I've ever met. I don't know anyone funnier than you. So I just kind of started running with it. Like I've always been kind of obsessed with Chris Rock and Wanda Sykes. I just love them. They're my two favorite comedians. And I would listen to Chris Rock's Never Scared I would listen to it. I would watch it like it was just a regular film. I watched it so many times, laughing every time at everything. So when I moved to New York City, I started writing comedy when I was like 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't perform it until I was like 22.
So what was the vessel for that comedy when you were 22? Was it coming out through drag?
Yeah, I did. Actually, my first performance in stand-up is also my first drag performance ever. It was at the New York Comedy Club. And I did a night, and the joke I had basically been writing down for years, I got on stage and I somehow convinced like 15 of my coworkers to come see me do stand up from the Jekyll and Hyde Club I used to work at
of course
57th and 6th.
Growing up went there a bunch. That's so crazy.
Are you from New York?
From right outside New Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably there.
Yeah.
There's a chance that I was there working there when you came in. When was the last time you went?
I mean, long time ago. Like,
I worked there a long time ago.
Probably like 2007, 2008, 2006.
Yeah, I was probably there.
Nine?
I started working there in 2008.
That's, oh my God. That's
and I was
crazy.
I could have been your waiter. I could have been I was a butler there.
Oh, shit.
Like, well, not a real butler, but like I was, there's these Roman characters, and I was like a mean butler named Mortimer Grimm, and I got to make up my own persona. That was actually kind of one of the last times I did like roaming character work, where I would like make up this entire persona for this character and just do like hours of comedy. I mean, you'd have to do comedy for 8 hours straight.
So, I mean, you learn a lot about...
so you get a lot of comedy out of that.
Oh my God, you could apply those skills literally to anything that you do.
Oh yeah.
Bob included.
Absolutely.
So when you're writing all these jokes, you go up on stage. Do you bomb the first time?
No, I did a really good job.
Oh, have you bombed ever?
I've never bombed. Is that horrible? I've never bombed before. But it's because I don't know why it is, and maybe my day's coming.
Knock on wood if you want.
Maybe I'll be getting my comeuppance one day. But I have a pretty good track record with telling jokes.
What about you do you think makes you a great comedian?
I think that I'm honest up there. Do
you do it all as Bob, or do you do it as...
I do out of drag sometimes too.
Got it.
Yeah, I do out of drag sometimes. I think it's because I love telling jokes, and I think I'm really funny. Like, it helps that I'm selling your product that I want to consume myself. You know what I mean? I'm also a great storyteller, and I just love entertaining. I love talking to people.
Do you write it all alone?
The short answer is yeah. I mean, I've had friends help me like figure out why a joke isn't working.
Yeah.
Is why it's not getting a great laugh. My friend Mateo Lane has helped me a lot with that. He's a great comedian, brilliant comedian, Mateo Lane. Monet Exchange has helped me out sometimes as well.
So great.
Just kind of suss out a joke. My partner has helped me suss out a joke.
It's a team effort, really.
Yeah, for sure.
You have another special coming, Big Black and Queer Night. It's happening.
So Big Black Queer Night is a night I'm doing in conjunction with Strange Loop on Broadway.
Yes.
So I went to go see Strange Loop and it was one of the most transformative shows I've ever seen.
What is it?
So, Strange Loop is a show about a black queer show about a black queer person writing a black queer show.
Oh, that's
Inception, right?
Yeah, I like it.
And it was a really remarkable, really amazing night. And I kept thinking to myself, what if everyone in the audience was black and queer? Would that be so cool? So I reached out to some people I knew who were working on the show. And I said, let's try to make this happen. Let's try to get this night happening where everyone in the audience is black and queer. And that's what we're working on. So if you want to come see Strange Loop on Broadway, I'll be hosting a chat back after the show, and I'm inviting the cast to join me. It'll be on October 27th in New York City at the Lyceum Theater.
That's really fucking cool.
Thank you. So if you're black and queer and you want to experience this magical night, please, please, please go to the Lyceum Theater October 27th.
Black Queer Town Hall. This is something that you co-founded along with Peppermint.
Yes.
There's a real mission behind. Is it an organization? Is it?
It's a nonprofit, and our main objective is to uplift, celebrate, rejoice, mourn the black queer experience with other black queer people and allies. And we pay black queer people to come and be a part of it through performance, through community building, and we also have charity components where we give, where we're able to give back as well. So it's been really awesome, and it felt really amazing during the quarantine to be able to pay some people who hadn't worked in months. People who told me, performers who were like, I've not worked in 6 months. I've not made $1. You don't know what this check did for me.
Do you feel like there's a responsibility that comes with the success that you and Bob, you're having?
Not really. I mean, I do it because I don't feel responsible or obligated. I just do it because I want to. And I don't think everyone has that responsibility. I don't think everyone needs to go out and form a nonprofit and I don't think everyone has to do that. I remember a while back when Taylor Swift and Beyonce weren't political, and everyone's like, you have to be, and I was like, it's their business. I just know that I feel compelled to because I want to.
By the way, that's the right approach, right? Nobody should feel like they have to do anything. People should want to do good things, not because it's good optics.
Yeah, it's like the, you know, are you a good person because you don't want to go to hell, or because are you a good person? Like, what's stopping you from robbing that old lady? Is it really the threat of hell? Or are you like, robbing an old lady is mean and I shouldn't do that? That's where I'm at.
That's respect.
Well, thank you for not robbing an old lady. I think the bar is too low.
Wait, you used to make wallets and purses out of newspaper?
Yeah, I used to when I was in high school, duct tape wallets and newspaper wallets were really, really big.
Oh my God, yes. Well, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, like we're kind of in the same generation.
Well, you're 29. I'm born in 1986. I graduated high school in 2004. I think that you were getting some residuals of what
yes, I was.
What we were doing.
You walk so we can run.
Exactly.
Thank
you. Duct tape prom dresses were really big, and so other duct tape walls were big, and I would take Scotch tape and like basically laminate the funnies. And I carried a duct tape. I carried a Funnies wallet for years, maybe like 6 years. Like every time I want to break, I would just make a new one with little pockets and everything.
That's really impressive.
Yeah,
I would always see those and not know how people made them. So
yeah, I mean, I couldn't. I probably couldn't do it again now. I mean, maybe I could if I could figure it out at like 16. Yeah, I'm sure at 36, 20 years later, I could rustle up the memory.
You've definitely grown since then.
Yeah,
you've definitely concocted some a little bit more intense arts and crafts projects.
That is true. Completely true. Yeah,
it's like that's an understatement. What are you thinking over there, Daniel?
What makes a good drag queen? I have no idea.
Well, you know, to each their own. So I know for me, I love a sense of humor. I love a point of view. You don't have to be, everyone's so obsessed with being so unique to the point where like no one's unique. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
When I was on Drag Race, we had this thing where we had to all dress up like Madonna. And I felt like a lot of the contestants were so focused on doing something no one else had ever thought of that 6 contestants ended up bringing kimonos because no one wanted to do the cone bra, no one wanted to do the wedding thing because they were like, everyone's gonna do it. So 6 people ended up wearing kimonos, bringing kimono. Only 4 actually walked the runway, but 6 people brought kimonos, which is so wild to me. But you have to just do like, as long as you're selling a product that you want to sell. Like, if you think you're funny, do you think you can sing? Do you like your music? Do you like your dancing? Do you want to see your show? Would you listen to your podcast? You know what I mean?
That's the standard. Is would you?
Yeah, and I think that what makes a good drag queen is probably the same thing that makes a good dancer and singer and radio host and entrepreneur in general.
Do you find any of it difficult, or does it all just kind of come naturally to you?
Well, makeup was really hard for me, and I finally figured out a way to not look completely insane. And it did not come naturally. It was years and years and years and years of trying to get it together. But most of the performing stuff, to be honest, does come pretty naturally to me. I've kind of always been a ham and just a natural born performer.
Watch Bob. Watch those specials. Go. If you are black and queer and want to be in this audience, we're going to put a link in the description below. You're really exceptional. You're one of my favorites to ever come from that show. Truly.
Oh, well, thank you.
I was adamant about having you on. I don't know. Like, I remember like when we started saying the email. I forget what happened in that moment, but I was like, we need to have Bob on. We need to have Bob on.
Well, I also am excited to say that if you really love Bob, you can also check me out on HBO. The 3rd season of my show, We're Here, will be premiering on November 25th. We won 2 Emmy Awards now.
This is a big deal that they've given you 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Because if we look back at television history as outside of Drag Race and all the Drag Race spinoffs, that's the only consistent drag show to exist. And that Netflix show that I was obsessed with that starred Ru was given a season. It was
AJ and the Queen?
Yes. Fucking love that show.
1 season.
Disgusting.
Even Ru's talk show got she wasn't even drag. Got I think 5 episodes, 6 episodes.
I want to throw something. It's really hurt me.
I'm very grateful that we have 3 seasons of this show. And we've been able to achieve some really remarkable stuff. And I've said consistently that it is the best drag on TV. It is the best drag on TV. I'm going to reiterate that one more time. It is the best drag on TV.
Why is that?
Because we get support, and we get, like, when you watch Drag Race, those queens, they have support and stuff, but it's really them by themselves. But on We're Here, we have a makeup artist, we have a hairdresser, we have costume designers, we have all this stuff. It really takes a community to build a queen, and we really work together to make some remarkable, amazing numbers. And not just that, but the connections that we make, the interactions that we have with our drag kids is just really remarkable.
Why do you think you were given 3 seasons?
I don't know. I think the show touches people. I think that, people will say they watch the show, they're like, I was crying for an hour. And I was like, me too, but we filmed it for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I was crying the whole time. And we're doing something that has never been done on TV. We have episodes where we discuss things that I don't know that I've ever seen discussed on TV. Who's discussing the Kanaka Mahu people and involving their activism in Kona, Hawaii? Queer, Indigenous, Hawaiian activists who are environmental activists as well, not just queer activists. You know what I mean? Who else are we talking about? A trans man who has quadriplegic, spastic. I think I'm gonna mix it up, but he's differently abled and is in a wheelchair, and discuss what it's like to try to find love and be a performer in a small town. Going through a breakup. Who else is talking about that?
No one's telling those stories.
Who's talking about what it's like to be a trans woman in Selma, Alabama?
No one.
A black trans woman in Selma, Alabama, being called a demon and this and that, and still prevailing. No one's talking about that. And I'm really, really grateful that people share their stories with us, and I'm really proud of the work we've done on that show. And we have 2 Emmys, but we deserve 40.
And it can go for a very long time. Do you see that future for We're Here?
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope that we can continue to reach out to more and more people for as long as we're necessary.
We're Here.
And if not, We're Here, something like it,
Amen. We'll put a link to that in the description below as well. Are you good? What are you thinking?
No, I just...
Talk to me, Dan.
You mentioned Madonna. What was it like meeting Madonna?
Oh, it was really amazing. So Madonna was also insistent that we work together. I actually first wasn't available because of my schedule. I was like, I just can't.
You said you weren't available for Madonna?
But contractually, I was not available. When she wanted me, I was just not legally able to do what she wanted me to do.
That must feel good.
It did not feel good. It felt like I was like, I'm not going to work with Madonna. And then I think my agent was like, well, Madonna wants your phone number and she's going to call you. And I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about because I can't do the show. And the skies parted and the clouds opened up and our schedules aligned literally perfectly. And I was able to help Madonna with her show. I was part of the creation of the show, the casting of the show. It was really, and I was the host of the show.
What is it like to just create with her?
She's really amazing. I learned a lot from Madonna. I learned a lot about professionalism. There's a reason why Madonna has 50 number ones.
Yeah.
Like Madonna is truly an icon. I do not use that word lightly. She's such a hard worker. She showed up every day on time, and she was dressed to the nines when we had to be dressed. You know, she didn't ask us to do anything she wasn't willing to do. She rehearsed in her corset and her heels. Like, she's really fierce.
That's
and her son, David, took a liking to me, and I felt like I was on like the Big Brother program over it.
Maybe you could star as Madonna in that biopic.
You know, I think they've already cast someone. But
are you under contractual obligations somewhere else? You can't even take it off?
I can't take the role as Madonna in the bio. I wonder what it's gonna be called. I think it'll be called Vogue. It's got to be called Vogue.
That's a good
or maybe
name.
Material Girl. Material Girl, Vogue, Frozen. No, it can't be called Frozen. Frozen's not a good name, but because there's also a huge movie called Frozen.
Have you heard of it, Elsa? Mickey Mouse? You auction off your memorabilia from Drag Race?
I did, and I regret it. Any Drag Race girls, do not do it because I didn't get the money I deserved for it, and I went back and bought most of it back.
No.
I hunted it down.
Shut up.
And paid a lot. I could have just donated the money that I made for those items. I think back then Drag Race wasn't quite what it is now, so it wasn't fetching the amount of money I wanted. But I was able to hunt down my purse first dress and the purse, the first challenge, and I paid a lot more than they paid for it to get it back.
But worth it?
It was worth it. It's framed and it's in my living room right now.
That's wild. You're part of history, my friend.
Is
I guess so.
Is that the purse that you're talking about in Purse First?
That's the very one.
What
Curtains, paper, and a wish. I said in the song, and you know that purse is taking me very far,
and it has further to take you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
We're gonna put a bunch of links in the description below. Please, please, please give them some clicks. Listen to Bob the Drag Queen's music too on Amazon Music. Final thoughts, Daniel?
Well, if we're gonna play Bitch Like Me, I just have a question about the lyric. Don't watch football, but this a home run.
Yeah. That is where my sense of humor definitely bleeds over into my. And a lot of people would go, wait, what? Obviously, there's no home runs in football, but I just love that lyric.
How long did it take you to put this?
Can I say anything I want on this? Like, is there a language barrier?
No.
One of my favorite lyrics in the song that no one ever gets is more late nights than a nigga named Jimmy, because I work a lot of late nights because between stand up and the drag shows and everything, and also Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon host late night shows. So the lyric is more late nights than a nigga named Jimmy, which I'm very proud of that line too.
Man, I'm a dumbass. I just thought of like Jimmy John's. I was like, what the hell do you ever? That makes way more sense than what I thought.
Should we listen to it?
Yeah.
Bob the Drag Queen, everybody. I really appreciate you giving us your time and energy today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bob, everybody.